Good morning, everybody. The new topic in fifth module, pressure measurement. The very first topic in pressure measurement is the measurement of pressure by using Baldwin tube pressure gauge. Before starting this, all of you have seen in the puncture shop or in our mechanical lab, we have air compressors. We have air compressor. In the air compressor is directly coupled to the air container or air tank. Air tank on which you have a pressure gauge. You have a pressure gauge which indicates the pressure in kg per millimeter square or kg per centimeter square. So what are the things present in that Baldwin tube pressure gauge is the flexible tube. All of you observe here. This is the flexible tube made from rubber. Made from rubber. All of you remember the flexible tube that's made in a circular shape, and this rubber tube is connected to the adjustable link, and again here you have a sector or yoke which is having the rack. All of you observe here the number of gear teeth are present in the straight line, so that is the rack, and this is the pinion. Rack and pinion arrangement is there. When the pressure increases in the air tank of the air compressor, what will happen? All of you observe here, this is the stem. Here, the pressure increases. Due to the increased pressure, the rubber tube elongates. The rubber tube elongates in outward direction. Before explaining this principle of operation, all of you seen the tube of the two-wheeler or cycle tube. All of you seen when the puncture occurs in the tube, you have to fill the hole with the rubber material. All of you seen the shape and of the rubber tube. Actually, the shape of the rubber tube is oval cross section. Remember, oval cross section. This rubber tube has the oval cross section. Before explaining the principle of operation, the rubber tube which is coming from the stem, which is bent in the circular shape, the end of the rubber tube is connected to the adjustable link, and adjustable link is connected to the yoke or sector. The sector has the rack and directly coupled to the pinion. On the top of the pinion, there will be a dial. All of you observe here. This arrow mark indicates that dial. When the pressure increases in the stem, the pressure increases in the rubber tube. Due to that, there will be change in the shape of the rubber tube. The shape of the rubber tube which changes from oval to circular. All of you observe here, the shape of the rubber tube changes from oval to circular. Due to that, there will be elongation of the rubber tube. Due to that, the adjustable link is pulled in the outward direction so that rack moves forward and backward direction. If the pressure increases, rack moves in the forward direction. Due to that, number of turns rotated by the pin rack to the pinion, so that the dial indicates the pressure inside the air tank. This is the principle of operation of Baldwin tube pressure gauge. All of you write down the first question in your fifth module. In the fifth module. Second question in the fifth module is explain briefly the Baldwin tube pressure gauge. Once again, what are the things present here? This is the stem which is connected to the rubber tube, and rubber tube is in oval cross section. End of the rubber tube is connected to adjustable link. Again, adjustable link is connected to the sector or yoke which has the rack, and here the pinion is directly meshed with the rack. When the pressure increases the stem, the section or shape of the rubber tube changes from oval to circular, so that outward movement of the adjustable link takes place. In turn, which has the rack, due to that there will be rotation of the pinion. The top of the pinion, there will be a dial which moves in clockwise direction and indicates the pressure. Usually, the pressure indicated by the Bernoulli pressure gauge is in kg per millimeter square or kg per centimeter square. This is the explanation for Bernoulli tube pressure gauge. Next, come to the point. All of you seen the. All of you have the flask in your house. Flask. What is the purpose of using flask? Keep the milk, coffee or tea or hot water for longer period. How do you maintain the temperature in the flask? That is nothing but in the flask there will be 2 layers are present. In between the 2 layers there will be vacuum. In vacuum, remember, in your lifetime there is no heat transfer takes place in vacuum. Remember, there is no heat transfer in the vacuum. So in the flask you have 2 layers. One is inside layer and the other one is outside layer, and they have made vacuum inside the 2 layers. That is a vacuum. Say, if you want to measure the vacuum pressure, if you want to measure the vacuum pressure, the only method is available is McLeod vacuum gauge. McLeod vacuum gauge. As you measure the pressure in kg per millimeter square, in the same way you measure negative pressure. That may be -1, -2 or -3, depending upon the type of application. They provide the vacuum in the flask, thermal flask. See, all of you observe here. This is a McLeod gauge used for measurement of negative pressure. See, all of you observe here. This is the measuring capillary filled with mercury. And here, all of you observe here. This is the reference capillary. So this is also filled with mercury, and directly which is connected to the tank which has a mercury reservoir. So before measuring the negative pressure, say here you have the piston and the plunger. You can move the plunger up and down, bring the mercury level to read 0. All of you observe here the graduation in downward direction, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. So downward direction. Usually we write the graduations in upward direction because of measurement of negative pressure. Here the dimension is measured in negative order or downward direction. This is the port or opening of the tube. Here you have to join this to the negative pressure source. P1, negative pressure source. H is an indication of volume V2 and pressure P2. That is the, after connecting the negative pressure source to here, the what is the volume and what is the pressure. V2 and P2 are the volume of the volume occupied by the mercury in the container, and volume occupied by the container. H is an distance between the plunger distance and the mercury height, H and HC, measuring capillary and reference capillary and the zero capillary. See, all of you listen here carefully. This is very, very important examination point of view. Almost all the question paper, you have question on McLeod gauge. See, first, this is used for measurement of negative pressure. Connect the tube provided here to the source, negative pressure source. Before allowing the negative pressure to apply the pressure here, you adjust the mercury level to read 0. That is nothing but null balance. Null balance. Then note down the, observe the reading. The mercury level at 0 and the volume is V1 and pressure is P1. Then allow the negative pressure to flow in this direction. See the mercury level in the reference capillary, measuring capillary. Observe, compare with the reference capillary, and what is the negative pressure. What is the negative pressure? That is the dimension. Remember, all of you, the only gauge which satisfies Boyle's gas law, V1 P1 equal to V2 P2. That is nothing but Boyle's gas law. Only the McLeod vacuum gauge satisfies the Boyle's law. That is P1 P1 equal to V2 P2. That is the output volume is equal to input volume. Pressure P1 is equal to pressure P2. The only gauge satisfies the gas law or Boyle's gas law. The principle of operation, once again, here you have a tube, connect to this tube to the negative pressure. Before applying negative pressure, see that the mercury level should read 0. By moving the plunger up and down, bring the mercury level to read 0. Then allow the negative pressure to pass through this tube and see the reading. That is maybe 1, 2, 3 negative pressure. That may be kg per millimeter square or kg per centimeter square. That is the negative pressure. Only gauge which is available for measurement of negative pressure is McLeod gauge. McLeod gauge. This is the explanation for McLeod gauge. So this is the only gauge which satisfies Boyle's gas law. That is P1 equal to P2 V1 divided by P2 V2 divided by V1. Next, come to the point. The one more gauge is available. This is the gauge. Here you have to use electrical circuit. Electrical circuit. Here there are number of resistances are present, and this is the measurement of low pressure. This is not for negative pressure. The pressure may be in terms of microns. Imagine the pressure may be in terms of microns. See here, the principle of operation of Pirani gauge is measurement of low pressure. Measurement of low pressure, that is in microns. See here, you have two chambers or two cells. One is compensating cell, other one is measuring cell, and the circuit is connected to the power supply. In between the circuit, which is connected to the receiver or recorder. So once if you open the pressure source here, the pressure increases inside the measuring cell. There will be change in the resistance of the resistor present in the measuring cell. That can be measured directly in the recorder or receiver. The recorder or receiver, all of you observe here. When you connect this end to the pressure source, then the pressure increases inside the measuring cell. Due to the increasing of pressure, there will be change in the resistance that can be measured in the receiver or recorder. This is the principle of operation of Pirani gauge. Principle of operation of Pirani gauge. All of you remember the high pressure measurement, burden to pressure gauge, negative pressure McLeod gauge, low pressure measurement. For low pressure measurement, you can use Pirani gauge. This is the principle of operation of Pirani gauge. Next, come to the point. Measurement of high pressure. Measurement of high pressure. For this, you can use Bridgman gauge. You can use Bridgman gauge. And Say measurement of pressure, high pressure means which ranges from 100 to 1000 kg per millimeter square. Imagine 100 to 1000 kg per millimeter square. Say in some of the companies they are using carbon dioxide terminal, carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, and other type of gases in the company for manufacturing of pesticides, fats, and all those things. So for that they require the gas, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, like that. They use the gas for manufacturing of pesticides, which is used in agricultural. The measurement of high pressure, the Bridgman. This gauge is invented, developed by the Bridgman. For that reason, it is called as Bridgman gauge. See, all of you observe here what all the things are present here. See here, there will be a threads. You can connect this end to the pressure source. This end to the pressure source. And here, all of you observe here, there will be a sensing element is present, which is immersed in the kerosene. Which is immersed in the kerosene. All of you observe here. Here you have a sensing element which is immersed in the kerosene and which has the bellow. Which has the bellow. All of you seen the bellow. See, for pumping of kerosene from tank to the bottle or siphon off, SIPHON, siphoning of the kerosene or liquid, you are using plastic siphon. In the same way, you have the bellows present here, and the center of the bellow, there will be a terminal which is connected to the recorder or digital output. Then, if you connect the high pressure source here using the threads, maybe that's maybe V thread. If you connect a high pressure source to this pressure source connection, then there will be a connection between this to the where the cell which contains the sensing element and the bellow which is immersed in the kerosene, there will be change in the electrical characteristics of the sensing element. Remember, when you connect the pressure source to here, adjust the pressure gauge to read 0. That is in the analytical pressure device or the digital pressure measuring device, which indicates the pressure in kg per millimeter square. See here, if you connect this, there will be pipe which is directly connected to the cell. Here you have the sensing element and the bellows which is completely immersed in the kerosene. Due to the high pressure, there will be change in the electrical characteristics. That is change in the electrical current that can be measured through the terminal in the digital output or digital indicator, which indicates the pressure in kg per millimeter square. Once again, the measurement of high pressure ranges from 100 to 1000 kg per millimeter square, or even more than that pressure can be measured by using Bridgman gauge. Once again, the starting from this chapter, the first one, Burden tube pressure gauge, which all of you seen in the puncture shop. Above the air container, there will be a gauge is present, which indicates the pressure in kg per millimeter square or kg per centimeter square. Here you have a rubber tube, which is very, very important, which has the oval cross section, changes to circular, and the pressure increases. Due to that, there will be pressure indication by the dial indicator, that is in kg per millimeter square. Next, come to the point, the measurement of negative pressure. That is the McLeod gauge. This gauge is invented, developed by the McLeod. For that reason, it is called McLeod gauge. In turn, it is also called as McLeod vacuum gauge. You can measure the negative pressure. This good example is almost all of you have thermal flux in your house, there will be two layers are present. Between the two layers, they make the vacuum. That may be -1 kg per millimeter square or -2 kg per millimeter square, depending upon they make the vacuum between two layers. And the only gauge which satisfies gas law, P1 equal to P2V2 divided by V1. This is the gauge used for low pressure measurement. Low pressure, pressure may be in terms of microns. Imagine the pressure may be in terms of microns. Here you have two cells. One is compensating cell, other one is measuring cell. When you connect this pressure source to the connect this pipe to the pressure source, there will be change in the resistance. That change in the resistance can be measured in the recorder or receiver. This is the low pressure measurement. Then come to the point, the Bridgman gauge used for measurement of high pressure, which ranges from 100 kg per millimeter square to 1000 kg per millimeter square. Even higher pressure can be measured by using Bridgman gauge, using Bridgman gauge. So this is the explanation for Bridgman gauge. Next, come to the point. Next topic in fifth module is temperature measurement. Temperature measurement. What is the temperature? Temperature is the molecular energy. Due to the manifestation of molecular energy, we can feel the heat. We can feel the heat that can be measured in terms of temperature. The molecular energy that can be measured by the feeling or manifestation of molecular energy. That is the temperature measurement. The heat can be measured in terms of temperature. The temperature may be in terms of degree centigrade or degree Fahrenheit, or sometimes in thermodynamics we use degree Kelvin. Degree Kelvin. The temperature, a manifestation of molecular energy of heat, that is the manifestation of molecular kinetic energy of the body, within a body or of the body, that is measured in terms of temperature. That is the definition of temperature. Next, come to the point, how do you measure the temperature? That is, that there will be a lot of instruments are available. Thermometer, liquid filled thermometer means mercury filled thermometer, electrical thermometer, that is the resistance thermometer, and the altered dimensions means the change in dimension in a liquid filled thermometer, that is the mercury filled or liquid filled, and change in electrical proportion, that is the resistance thermometer, change in radiating ability. That's nothing but if you increase the temperature, there will be change in the color due to radiation of the heat. Next, the classification of temperature measuring instruments depend on the nature of change produced and the pressure gauge thermometer. The principle of operation is same. When the temperature increases, there will be change in the reading. Next, come to the point, very, very important. All of you write down the diagram. So anyway, I will give the notes and all of you write down the question, explain briefly with the neat sketch. Explain briefly with the neat sketch the resistance thermometer. Explain briefly with the neat sketch resistance thermometer. Put a question mark. Continue the question. List the applications. List the applications. Say, all of you observe here. This is solid silver core resistance thermometer, and the copper winding is covered by mica insulation sheet. This is another type of resistance thermometer. All of you seen mica insulation in iron box. All of you seen in your house, inside the iron box, the coil is covered with the mica cover, mica sheets. The same way here, this is the copper winding covered with mica insulation sheets here. And here you have solid silver core on which you have the sensitive copper winding, and the end is there will be solid silver flange, or sometimes this is manufactured from copper alloy or stainless steel alloy. You have a solid silver or stainless steel flange in the end, which is directly connected to the solid silver core, which is covered by the sensitive copper winding, and the entire copper winding is covered by ceramic insulator. You have two leads which is coming out of the solid silver core, that is covered with glass fiber. The terminals or leads are covered with glass fiber. All of you listen here. The principle of operation of resistance thermometer. Say in the starting of this resistance thermometer, you have a stainless steel flange which is directly connected to the solid silver core, and the solid silver core is covered with the copper winding. The copper winding is covered with the ceramic insulator, and from the solid silver core and the winding, you have the two terminals or two leads which is connected to the digital output or digital indicator. When you insert this thermometer in the boiler or in the oven or in the furnace, there will be change in the electrical characteristics of the solid silver core as well as in the copper winding. That is directly measured by using the digital indicator, which indicates the temperature in degree centigrade. Usually this is used in rolling industries, foundries, and other many more industries. They use resistance thermometer. This particular thermometer indicates the temperature from 100 to 4000 degrees centigrade. Imagine a range available in this resistance thermometer is 100 to 4000 degree centigrade. 4000 degrees centigrade. The principle of operation of a resistance thermometer is this thermometer has solid silver core which is connected to the stainless steel end flange, and this solid silver core is covered with sensitive copper winding. On the copper winding, you have the ceramic insulator and the two terminals. One is coming from solid silver core and the other one from the copper winding, which is connected to the digital indicator, which indicates the temperature in degree centigrade. This is the principle of operation of the resistance thermometer, which has the solid silver core. And next, come to the point, another type of resistance thermometer, you have the sensitive copper winding, which is covered by mica sheets, and the entire thing is assembled inside the stainless steel shell, which is placed in intact position or intact shape inside the stainless steel shell. Inside the stainless steel shell, that is nothing but the resistance thermometer. This is used in low temperature measurement. That is the measurement of steam in the boiler. Measurement of temperature in the boiler. Low temperature measurement. For that, they use this type of resistance thermometer. One for high temperature, other one is for low temperature. Here you can measure from 0 to 150 degree centigrade. Both have applications in industries. See here, this is the principle of operation of the resistance thermometer. Next, come to the point, the thermocouples. Thermocouples. Say if you join two metals, say for example silver and copper, the end of the joint, if you make one is hot joint and the other one is cold joint. Usually cold joint is the, you can keep ice cubes in the bowl. Ice cubes in the bowl, make that is as the cold junction. There you have the temperature -5 or -6 degrees centigrade. Here the measuring junction, you have the temperature of 200 degrees centigrade. So make two junctions. One is hot junction, other one is cold junction, and connected by the conductor or thermocouples, which is made from different metals. That is, metal A is made from copper alloy constant, and B is made from silver. Due to the difference in temperatures of the junction and due to the difference in the metal, an EMF is generated in the circuit. An EMF is generated in the circuit that can be measured by using ordinary galvanometer or millivoltmeter That is definition of the thermocouple. That is the definition of the thermocouple. Once again, remember, the metal A is made from copper alloy, metal B is made from silver alloy, and the conductor, you make the joint like this and place the one end P. The junction P is the hot junction and junction Q is the cold junction. Cold junction is usually keep the ice cubes in the bowl, place this junction, place this joint in the ice container or bowl which has the ice cubes. That becomes the cold junction of temperature -5 or -6 degrees centigrade, and the hot junction is maybe 200 degrees centigrade. Due to difference in the temperature in the hot junction and cold junction, and due to difference in the metal A and B, metal is made of copper alloy and metal B is made of silver alloy. Due to difference in the metal and due to difference in the temperature of hot and cold junction, an EMF is generated in the circuit that can be measured by using millivoltmeter or galvanometer or millivoltmeter. All of you observe here the commercial thermocouple available in the market. Commercial thermocouple available in the market. This is used for measurement of temperature in the furnace or in the boiler or in the boiler. Now I stop at this stage and make unmute to all. Adarsh, please tell me, you have a connection? Please tell me.
Sir.
Hello, hello, Adarsh, can you listen? Adarsh.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
You have raised the hand, for doubt.
Illa, sir.
Hauda?
Doubt illa.
Okay. Ganesh,
sir.
Tomorrow I will give you the important questions for the second online test.
Yes, sir.
Please ask them to keep the pen and notebook ready.
Sir.
Tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I stop at stage and I'll continue in the next class.
Yes, sir.